Hey guys, my name's Ikam and welcome to the first ever Body by Ikam Roundtable Talk. Today I am joined by some of my amazing clients where we chat about common topics within the South Asian culture, common topics within fitness and our own experiences. I am joined today by my clients Pri, Ash,
Hi.
Avni,
Hi.
Tina,
Hi.
Priya.
Hi.
So we're going to be going through some topics. Stay tuned and we hope that even if one thing we say is relatable to you and can help you on your journey, then we're all happy here. So I've been on my own fitness journey since 2016. I have been through it all, seen it all, trial and errored, everything possible. And as a bodybuilder, I am going to be doing my third season of competing later this year. So some of the topics that I think will be really beneficial, especially the first one, is we're going to be discussing around time management. Now, we can all agree that like between us working at 9 to 5s, having responsibilities, having partners, having children, and wanting to work on our fitness is not always the easiest things. And something I get asked a lot is how to, fit training and food alongside your lifestyle. For me, being self-employed, I am able to kind of fit my training around my day-to-day tasks. But for those of you who work like 9 to 5s, how do you guys kind of go about training when you are also back in the office now and, have other priorities and responsibilities?
Yeah, so for me, I think transitioning back into the office was quite hard. It meant that it took out a huge chunk of my week where I'd gotten a good routine going and I knew exactly when I was going to go to the gym and stuff like that. I'm in twice a week, so it means the days that I'm not in the office, I actually just go at lunchtime. Thankfully, my gym is literally a 3-minute walk from my house. So makes it efficient, makes it easy, smash it out in an hour. And I feel like that actually pushes me to make sure that like I'm working through all of it really, really well. And so 3 times a week, I know during the week, that's my three training sessions done and then 1 day on the weekend. And it's worked pretty well because I know by the time I get back from the office and in the evenings, I'm knackered and I'm not going to want to go. So yeah, it took me a while to find my feet with it and to readjust my routine. But once you get it, I think it works.
So the days you go into the office are your rest days?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, nice. What about you guys? Any of you guys going through the same kind of thing?
Yeah, I was kind of similar, I think. And I think like trial and error is quite good because I normally do my workouts in the morning. I tried in the evenings for a bit as well, but actually I found that a bit harder because I work sort of finish time can be a bit unpredictable. But I'm the same as you. I couldn't now make my office days my rest days. And I think just taking a bit of time out, even just like at the weekend, just to look at your weekend and be like, right, what have I got coming up? And just try and plan ahead. I think just dedicating a bit of time to that makes such a huge difference as well for your week too.
Ash, you work full-time at home?
Yes, I'm predominantly home-based, but that really works for me because I find like I can manage my time much better. I don't have the challenge of going to the office, which is great. Really close proximity to the gym. So I can kind of flex it quite easily. And then the other thing is just using the time in a smart way. So a walk at lunchtime, or if I need to go to the post office, then I will walk because it's just that thing of extra steps or kind of calculating it that way.
It's also remembering that like something is better than nothing. So if you can't even get a workout in, it's like if you can still go for a walk or get your steps in, it's still something. And that is still going to be something towards hitting your goals and getting that kind of deficit you want or whatever your goal may be, getting closer to it. Tina, you're a uni student.
Yeah.
So how is it for you? Because you've just kind of got back
into uni. Yeah. So it's like, as it's quite stressful. I think, especially when you're getting used to the timetable, you've got a new city, new people, like it's scary. And then you're like, okay, now we've got to find a new gym. And then you're like trial and testing all these other gyms in the area, seeing which ones do you like. Like I was at JD at home, loved it, came to Birmingham, and now I'm at like a gym group and I'm like, don't like it, but it does the job. And I'll go and it's in the city centre. So that's a 20-minute walk as well. So I had the steps in there and it's planning it around like the days I'm at uni. I'll probably say, right, okay, what days are my busiest days? Use them as my rest days. So I've got like 2 days at my busiest, Tuesday and like Thursdays. Those days I'll just not go to the gym, and then the other days I'll plan my workout around when I've got work, because you've got work commitments, you've got social commitments. It's stressful. It's like planning your day. So like by the hour, literally.
You've got quite a hectic schedule then, because you're working, you're at uni, you're doing your gym
like
stuff.
I deeped it the other day and I was like, wow, like I don't have free time to like sit. I was like, if I'm not at uni, I'm at work. If I'm not at work, I'm at the gym. Like there is no time for me to not be doing something. Like I have to plan my day. Like I have to know in advance where I can fit things in, when I can go to the gym, when I've got time to go and do food shop, for example. Like that is stressful in itself. Like trying to figure out how to get to places as well.
I'm reading a book at the moment, and it says that the reason why a lot of people are quite stressed is due to poor time management.
Yeah.
And if you actually just manage your time, you'll realize that you're not as stressed as you may be, because a lot of times it's feeling like you don't have enough time to get everything done. You're behind on schedule. So I think, and it's something that I always speak to you guys about, is like how to manage your time efficiently and organize yourself. Because once you do that, you realize, oh, you know what, I can get it all done. What about you, Avni?
So I think for me, like, it is about time management. I know we spoke about planning ahead, especially with work. So with my work, I get really busy, and then I have periods where they're a bit more, more planned around. I know when my meetings are, and some it's quite unexpected. I majority work at home as well, and then I do go into the office. So the days that I know I'm going to be in the office, I will train in the morning. And that's quite early, but my gym is 24/7.
Yeah.
And then the days that I'm at home, I can go in my lunch or generally after work, just before it gets quite too busy, before the gym gets really busy. So I normally do that, and that seems to work for me the best. And I know weekends are like my downtime. So because I have a busy social life, I tend to know, like, if I'm planning this weekend with social stuff, I'll make sure I get all my workouts done in the weekday. So it's not always set for me. So I go around on depending on how that week looks.
And I think that's the important thing as well, is that, you don't just have to create a routine and then say to yourself, I have to stick to it. And then if you don't, it stresses you out. I think it's like adapting when things change. And I think when it comes to, if you're someone who's an overthinker or someone who stresses a lot, you have to look at situations in 4 different ways. Either you can accept it, you can alter it, you can adapt to it, or you can avoid it. So it's kind of like, okay, if I can't get to the gym at this time because of work, I need to adapt. Or if I've got exams right now, I need to avoid training for at least a week because I've got my exam and it's really important. So you have to look at situations and look in those 4 ways and think, how can I? But the most important thing with most situations is trying to see if you can adapt. Like, I think even with me, when I was going into my 2nd season competing, I said to my parents, I was like, I need to move out, because for me to have a good prep, I need to adapt to my situation. And the environment I'm in isn't going to help me. So I need to change and alter the environment.
Yeah,
and then
I agree with that one. Like, I moved back home after like uni, because I've changed unis. Moved back home, and like basically everything that I'd progressed, I just like reversed it. And like we were constantly texting me like, I can't do this. And it was like a solid year. And I think where you live in definitely affects like how your trainer is. Like, I was living out, I was great. I had a meal plan. It was all going fine. I was losing the weight, consistency and everything. And then I moved back home and the environment changed, and that's it. My schedule went like completely different.
And that's the thing. It's like sometimes you can adapt, but sometimes you can't. And it's just figuring out.
Yeah.
And your environment plays a massive role, like without you even realizing. And that can not just be like where you live, but like the people you surround yourself with, even your work. Like, if you're not happy in your job, you're not going to want to go to the gym after work because you just want to go home because you're feeling like crap and stuff. Like, it all makes a difference. So working on these elements, it plays a role in terms of how well you do on your fitness journey and how well you do on keeping on top of your food. Because then obviously if you are stressed out, how does that affect your food then? So it all kind of plays a role.
I think what I found as well is I have my baseline and my non-negotiables. So for me, however busy it gets or however challenging it gets, or if, I'm not in the mood or I'm overloaded at work or overloaded at home, what's the baseline that I need to do for myself? So is it I have to get all my steps in today, or I have to make the right food choices? So I have that kind of, what are my non-negotiables? So I know where I can kind of maybe have more flexibility, or the things I kind of make myself really accountable for. And I think that has really helped me. Then I kind of know if it's a super busy week for whatever reason, this is kind of what's going to keep me on track, or I have to commit to. So it's not all going to go out the window. These are the things I have to kind of commit to keep me in a good place, or to stop me from completely losing it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think even there's situations where you have to make a to-do list and you have to think about what's priority. And I know Priya, for example, you had a tattoo removed. So we had to adapt her training because of it. So do you want to talk about that and explain? So you moved to home training, and how did that go about?
Yeah, so like I sort of I kind of tried to plan it around sort of when to do it in the week, so I could kind of get as many sessions done at the gym beforehand, and then give myself a few days just to like have a bit of a break, a bit of a rest while it was healing. And then whilst I knew it would be a struggle going back to the gym, so I tried to kind of slowly ease back into kind of home training, which for me now that I'm going gym is not quite the same, but it's like, okay, in my head I know I'm doing something, I'm sort of doing the minimum. And I guess it's just, it just comes back to the whole thing of kind of adapting your schedule, planning ahead as much as you can, but having that bit of flex. And there's days like you might, like for me, like I've not been able to kind of be on top of my training as much as I have like the last couple of weeks, for example, but just knowing I'm doing something like just kind of getting my steps in even, is like a kind of big thing for me. And I think that's been like for this whole journey for me, that's been like a massive thing, because I think before I started, my mindset was, right, I've had a bad day or a bad week, that's it, I'm done. I've just kind of failed in my head and I just kind of give up and revert back. But now I'm sort of in that sense where I'm like, right, okay, I've had a couple of off days or weeks or whatever, but I'm doing something and it's okay, you know, when I'm ready, I'll just get back into it and kind of carry on. I think that's been a big sort of lesson learned for me, I think.
Yeah, I think, and you know what it is? I think that's so real, because I think what people don't realize is like, it's never linear.
Yeah.
So like, you're going to have these weeks and months that are like absolute crap. And then you're going to have these weeks and months where you're like, oh my God, I'm absolutely smashing it. But that is literally what it's like. And I say to a lot of my clients, like, I've been on this journey since 2016. But I think it wasn't until 2020 that I really stepped up my game with it, just because I did so much trial and error. I'd go on holidays and then I wouldn't be strict when I needed to. Then I would be like too strict. Like, it's normal, you know, things get in the way, life gets in the way, you know? And it's like, you have to just understand, okay, this needs to be on the back burner. And, you know, we've all had our like ups and downs. We've all had like our moments of like, we've fallen off. But I think falling off is such an important aspect of your journey, because then you have to get back up. Like you coming today, there was like signs from the universe that Tina should not come today because her train was getting cancelled.
Like constantly, like, what was it yesterday? Like 4 o'clock that I texted, like, train's cancelled.
And then
I don't know how I'm getting there.
Still made her way.
Yeah.
Which is good. And I think that's the thing as well, like knowing what needs to be done no matter how you feel about it, you know, and that's the discipline element of it. The fact that, you know, with the tattoo removal, it's like, okay, I'll just take a couple of days off, but you're like, but something's better than nothing. So let me just try at home, even if it's like a couple of exercises, or like, you know, let me go for a walk instead of this, or let me do this instead of this. It is the fact that you're thinking and you're still prioritizing where you can. And that's the most important thing. And I think alongside all of that as well is food, and how much of an element that plays with things. Hands up if you meal prep.
I try. I try.
It's one of those things where I think as well, like if you can, everyone loves like food that's like already cooked fresh, like that you can eat as soon as it's made. It's nicer, right?
Yeah.
But for those of us that are like busy and on the go, it's like the best thing you can do in terms of your time management and your organization. How do you guys go about your meal prep? Like, what do you guys kind of make, or like how many days do you do it for? Because you're veggie as well, so like, what do you have?
So when I had a kitchen.
Oh yeah. So she's not even like got a kitchen, and she's still.
Yeah, it's been
like,
a struggle, especially those last few months leading up to the photo shoot. Being on prep then, that was hard work. But yeah, I used to prep for about 4 days in advance, especially like the pasta that I'd make, and I'd obviously make sure there was protein in it. So whether that be seitan or tofu or whatever, those kind of meals were always ready for work, especially work days. I knew that I had to take it with me. Things like oats or like bagels or whatever are quite easy and quite, you know, not the right word, but they're quite easy to make. And then there was other things I'd eat, like Linda McCartney sausages or things like frozen stuff, which is quite easily done too. So I think once you get into the routine of it, and once you understand like your timings of when you need to eat and how many meals you're eating and quantities and stuff like that, it's so much easier to pre-plan it. And then once you get into the routine of doing it for however many days, at least you know you're sorted then. So then you're good for the next 4 days. And then when those 4 days are up, you'll go again. At least it doesn't mean that in between you've got to be worrying about having to cook every day and stuff like that.
it's that element as well where like, let's say you've had like a really stressful day at work or uni or whatever, and you come home and you're just like not in the mood, or you're like really emotional, or you're really angry, and it's like you can just eat whatever's there because you just don't have it in you right now to think about cooking and wanting to. And I get it from a lot of clients where they're like, I've just come home from a long day and I've just had like roti or something, and you're just kind of like, I understand, but also if your meals are prepped and you pop in the microwave, like you wouldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? Like compared to having to cook it fresh, it's long. Like even I've been there where I used to work a 9 to 5 and I used to come home and be like, oh, but I've not cooked dinner. So
But do people actually come home and crave eating roti?
whatever's made, isn't it?
Genuine question.
Not me, but I
It's convenient.
yeah, it's like whatever's made at home, isn't it?
Yeah, fair enough.
And like I don't get it because I don't want it, but like when I used to live at home like all the time. So yeah, I think it's just like the element of meal prep just helps so much with like even temptation, I think, you know, when you can't be bothered and stuff like that. And then it's there and you're kind of like, oh, but it is just there, so let me do it. But again, it's all part of that mindset shift.
I think that's right, because if it wasn't there, then I'll be like, oh, I'll just cook, I'll just eat whatever's there. Like, oh, I'll just put this and or eat what the roti that my mum's
Yeah, honestly, like even if you don't, it's that ease. It's ease. You need to make your life as easy as possible on this journey where you can, so you can cruise with it. So when you have those tough moments or stressful moments, it's like, okay, it doesn't happen all the time, so I can work around this, so I need to adapt. But doing things like meal prep, it will just make it easy in those moments where you come home tired from work or something happens. And even for you, just like if you don't have a kitchen but you've meal prepped, at least you know I ain't got to stress about that. Like it all makes a difference. Like I remember when I used to try to meal prep at home and my grandma's in the kitchen and someone else is in the kitchen helping to make roti, and then it's just crazy everywhere. Yeah. And you can't just, and I'm just like, oh, I should have just done this before instead of trying to do it like the peak hours where everyone's trying to like do everything. But it's all a learning curve, I think, and that's the most important thing. And
what I found quite like interesting for myself was I get bored of things really quickly. Like I couldn't eat the same foods again and again. But actually, as humans, naturally, and I'm getting this from the book that I'm reading, Atomic Habits. It's great, guys. Check it out. As humans, naturally, we always opt for the easiest option. And so when I started meal prepping and being on plan, I was like, I'm going to get bored really quickly. Like this is going to stress me out. I'm going to want to eat something different in 2 days. But knowing exactly what I need to buy every time, knowing exactly what I need to cook, how to cook it, and the efficiency of doing all of that made it so much easier. And like, I don't get bored of it because I know that actually it's the easiest thing for me, which allows me more time to focus on other things. So yeah, I found that very, very like interesting.
I don't meal prep because I do get bored, but I like to cook. So I find when I cook at the end of my day or during my day, that's kind of the bit where it de-stresses me. And the other thing is, if I've shopped for it and it's in my fridge, my whole thing is I've got to cook it then. I can't let it get wasted, or I can't make a bad option or get a takeaway, or so it's there, so I've got to eat it because I don't want to waste it.
It's interesting because the fact that you two have your two different perspectives and you agree with Ash, you both use MyFitnessPal and you use a meal plan.
Yeah.
So like, do you see that difference? Like, and that's fine. There's no problem with it. It's just the fact that like you have to find what works for you, so you can automatically agree. Yeah. And you don't even know each other's using MFP, but I can see that. I'm like, it makes sense. How you go about in your mindset towards food and what works for you. You may look at food like, it helps me de-stress. I'm going to look at it like, I can't be bothered. So it's like, it honestly just depends. And that's what it is, finding what works for each individual.
For me, I know that like a meal prep would be so much easier, but like my competition didn't even give me a microwave. So like I have to cook it fresh. Like I've got no choice.
That's so long.
Yeah, I didn't get a toaster, I didn't get a kettle. I was like, what? Yeah, I had to buy everything myself.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so like for me, I'd love to meal prep because when I did it, I was doing great then. Like life was easy, and then now I'm like, oh, I can't meal prep. So
I think as well when using like when meal prepping or not meal prepping, and then also between using a meal plan and MyFitnessPal, it does depend on your lifestyle and how much time you have in the day and stuff like that. Where you work from home and stuff, it, you know, you have, and same with me, like I can make certain things fresh because I work from home, but then when I have certain things going on, I have to do a mix of both. And it honestly just depends on what your lifestyle looks like. And that's why it's hard to really say to someone like, this is what's going to work for you. You kind of just have to let someone trial and error what's going to sit with them, but be realistic about it as well, you know, like, and I've said to some of the other clients, and I probably might have said to you as well, that like with MFP, it's fine to do, but there is a bit more trial and error to it. So it's like, you can go with a meal plan. And I say to a lot of the newbies starting, go in the meal plan because it's best to see results as efficiently as possible initially to give you that boost. And then when you've been on the journey for long enough, then you know, okay, this is what works for me and I'm happy with the process and how long it's going to take and stuff like that. And everyone's journeys is so different. So it is literally just figuring out.
Yeah.
And you've done both. So
yeah,
actually,
like I feel like even with MFP now though, like I'm doing like a meal plan. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm basically eating the same thing every day, but I'm just using MFP to like track it and stuff
yeah.
and be a bit more flexible with why I'm eating. Just if I didn't want to change, I can change it up.
Yeah. And I think that's the important thing. Like everyone says it, isn't it? Like consistency is boring. Like it is.
Yeah.
And but consistency is what gets results. So it's like this internal battle with yourself about like, do I want to do all this fun stuff? Or do I just want to keep it really plain? And how quickly do I want to get the results? Like that's what you have to think about. And it's like, it's not always the easiest thing. So it's like sometimes you have to play around with it and see. But I think once you know what works for you, because you've done like the meal plan, but you've also used MyFitnessPal. And I think I say to a lot of the clients as well, like use the meal plan. And then when you have certain days, like you're eating out, you're going to Nando's or something, you've done a mix as well. To be fair, like most of you have done mixes and stuff as well. And it's just like, I think it gives you a good mix of discipline when you need it. But then also flexibility when you need it. And then having that balance. Because then I'm like, okay, you're going Nando's, I just fit it into your calories. And you're quite good at this because you can just like play around now because you've been using MFP for the longest. You're on the meal plan, aren't you, Avni?
I'm mainly on the meal plan.
Yeah.
And then on occasions I've been out and I've used MyFitnessPal when I'm like, for example, Nando's. I'll be like, okay, I know what I want. Or look at the menu before I go out and be like, this is what I'm going to get. So yeah, I've been on the meal plan for a little while with you now. And then I know initially I got really bored of the breakfast meal. So I was like, I need avocado. I need avocado in this meal plan somewhere. And you managed to fit it in for me, which is really good because then I was like, we found our happy medium. It was like, I'm doing my macros and then I'm also getting my avocado fixed. So
Thing is, it's weird, isn't it? Because you'll have like a meal plan and it's fine. And after a while you'll think, oh yeah, I do miss this food. Or like, oh, like you forget like there's certain things that like you miss and you're like, okay, and it's quite easy to add it in, but it's just like factoring in those things and stuff. And I think for a lot of people, the whole point of the end of the journey is to just go back to, you know, eating Indian food and eating how you normally do. And that is a point of it, but it's such a delicate process to that point because you have to, firstly, you need to get the results. Because if you don't start seeing results within X amount of time, you're going to fall off because you're going to think, well, what am I doing? It's not working. So you need to do it for X amount of time, start seeing results. When you start seeing results, then you can have the flexibility, then you can use MyFitnessPal. When you transition over to tracking calories, that's when you build your knowledge around foods, knowing, okay, like, I know this is this much calories. I know this is this much. You'll be tracking it so much that in your head, it will start like getting ingrained.
Like, you get a lot more educated. Like I remember when I started, I was like, oh, it's going to be so easy. And I was like, this is way harder than like I thought it would be. Like now I know that I can look at something like, probably best if I don't eat that. Like it looks healthy, but it's probably not.
Yeah. And thing is as well, it's like when you do it for long enough, you get to this point and then slowly you can transition to intuitively eating and mindful eating because you will look at it and be like, okay, I've had 40 grams of oats and I know that's roughly like 150 calories. I've had a square of dark chocolate, that's roughly 60. And then in your head, you can start doing calculations where like, oh, I know I've roughly had about 1600 calories today. But you only know that because you've done it for so long. You've actually studied and educated yourself on food without realizing. And that's how you get to a point where then you can just go back to normal lifestyle where you're not tracking and you're not following a meal plan and you just intuitively eat. But what people don't realize is you have to have that experience to successfully be able to intuitively eat. Whereas a lot of people will follow for like 12 weeks, go back to the old ways but they haven't learned portion control. They haven't learned listening to their stomach and knowing when it's full and when it's satisfied. And the process is such a long game, but that is the best way to then get to the point that you want to get to. And it's super important to educate yourself on those things. And when it comes to food, I'm sure we all have our stories about taking meal prep to events, family, friends' houses. Has anyone got any stories? Anything that's been said to them when taking meal prep or anything like that? Do you guys get any comments?
I've not had comments from like family members or anything, but like even when I was like meal prepping at home, like my dad would be like, what are you doing? Like just eat roti. And I'm like, yeah, but this is the reason why I've got a problem.
Yeah.
Like this is why I'm trying to change. And it's like, yeah, but why? But like we eat it, we're fine. And I'm like,
oh my God.
You might be, but I'm not. It's like understanding that like everyone's opinions on food are different. And like that if I'm doing something different, it's for a reason. I'm not doing it for the crack.
And everyone's bodies are different.
Yeah.
Like it irks me so much. And I'm really sorry if my mom watches this. She says this to me all the time. My granddad lived to 95 and he used to eat like well, I say Rodley, like curry, rice, whatever, every single day for 95 years of his life. My mum was like, look at him, look how well he did, like look how great he looked, like he was in great health until such a good age. So, you know, that works, eat that stuff. And I'm like, Mum, everyone's bodies are different, everyone's metabolisms are different, everyone's lifestyles are different. And I'm not going to just automatically turn into him just because I'm eating the foods that he eats. But they don't seem to understand that, and trying to educate them on that is so difficult. And yeah, the amount of times I've gone to families' houses, I remember I went to a wedding last year, and I kind of popped out of the wedding. This was maybe about a month before my shoot. And I literally went into the car, quickly ate my bagel, had my protein shake, and ducked back into the wedding without anyone realizing that I was gone. And then everyone went to eat, and they were like, why are you not eating? And I was like, I've eaten, I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
But every time there's comments, there's questions, we don't understand, like, why don't you just eat normally? Why don't you just be normal? Well, remember the comments you used to make to me back in the day, family, about how I used to be big and all of that kind of stuff. And now, you know, when I'm actually trying to like do what's right for me, then it's like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not looking after yourself properly. This is not like good for you.
This is the thing, because like my grandma and my dad will be the first to be like, you're looking a bit big.
Yeah.
You know, you're a bit, you know. And I'm like,
you're looking healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like what's your problem? Like, it's not nice to say.
No,
and then I lose the weight, and then, you know, especially when I'm doing my preps and stuff, and they're just like, no, you look unwell, your eyes are sunken in, like you've lost too much now, stop it. Like, it's, and you just think, either way, I'm not going to win with you, innit? So I might as well just do what I'm doing. And it's like, but you know what? It's such a thing, because I don't think it's always intentionally a bad thing they're trying to do. I think it's just the way the culture is and the upbringing, the way their mindsets are. Because I think when I was close to my show in 2021, my mom like grabbed my shoulder and she was like, you're malnourished, man. And I'm just like, Mom, but I'm doing a show in it, it's different. She's like, honestly, you're just skin and bone at this point. And it's fine, because at this point I've built enough thick skin, but also at the same time you just think, oh, but I don't need the comments, you know, not now. Now's not the time, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's actually a good thing probably to have them say these things, whoever it is, because it builds your skin up and your skin gets thick enough to then just take it in one ear and out the other. Because within our culture, I feel like everyone likes to put their 2 pence in.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Like,
a friend of a friend of a friend.
I went India, and like, because it was my cousin's wedding and like last year, and even like the maid in the house, she was like, oh, she looks like skinnier in a suit, and like she said it in Punjabi, and I was like, you understand? I can understand you. Like, again, I've come from England, but like I understand you. And I stood there like, yeah, I know I do. Like, but this is like, why are you saying this? Why are you telling me? A, you don't know me. You don't know my background. You don't know if I've got any health conditions. Like,
yeah.
Why are you making comments? Then it makes you feel bad. But then at the same time, you're like, do you know what? I don't know her. So I'm not going to listen to her 2 pence.
Yeah.
She doesn't know me. She doesn't know my backstory. So no.
I remember I went to, maybe it was a good one once. I went to an event and I wasn't eating, and someone, I don't even know who this woman was, but like just an old elderly woman came up to my mom and she was like to me, why are you not eating? I was like, oh no, I'm okay. Like, I've got my food. She's like, oh, you're fussy. I get it. And I was like, no. I was like, no, I'm not. But I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to have beef with like a big BMI. So it's like, I just need to let it go at this point.
I've had, well, I don't really get comments, but sometimes, you know, my app people say, oh, she's having a special food. I'm like, it's just chicken. Or it's like, you know. But
the way they make it out, it's like, but it's just normal food.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing, there's nothing special about it, really.
It's always like that. Like, even with me, it's like, oh, this bodybuilder food and stuff like that. And it's just, but you know what? I think it as well gets to a point when you're in your journey where you're just kind of like, yeah. You know, you just take it and you're just like, say what you want.
They also think the food is boring. But actually, I enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not forcing you to eat it.
Yeah, and they just have this stigma that like if it's in a fucking box container,
there's something special in it.
It's like the
it's
worst
not normal.
thing.
Like we're not allowed to season it. We can't.
Yeah. Even as like a bodybuilder, like I know like years and years ago it would be like plain chicken with rice and whatever. But like when I'm on prep, I season my food. Like I have loads of sauce. Like I get told off by my clients because they're like, you have more sauce than eggs on your plate. Like you like devour your eggs in like sauce, like ketchup. And I'm like, yeah, but it just gives me like pizza vibes then, you know? So like, I think you just have to like, it's a learning curve. And I think part of this journey is accepting that side, especially culturally for us. We're going to get it way more than, I don't know myself, but like maybe potentially other ethnicities, and we're going to get a lot more because, we probably won't eat the Indian food as much as we'd like to. And I have to be realistic with clients as well. And like, if you really want to get the results initially, you have to kind of cut out the Indian food if you want the results in X amount of time. If you come to me and you're like, I want results, but I want to do it this way and I'm happy with how long it takes, cool. But if you're signing up to X amount of time, you have to accept that there's going to be some sacrifice. And I think when people make it out that you can get results without sacrifice, I think that's a lie.
Yeah.
That was my first panic. I remember seeing the meal plan. I was like, wait. I remember saying to you, I was like, wait, no roti, no nothing.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, not initially. And I was like, right. Good luck to mum that.
It's hard.
Mum, I'm not eating your food for the next few weeks.
It's a hard conversation to have, but I think what people need to understand is the reason I say that is because the variables of tracking Indian food. If you can say to me, I've sat with my mom and put all the ingredients down into my fitness pal and I know it comes up to 500 calories and divide that by XYZ, like, then I'll be like, okay, but no one in the world has time.
I feel like it's just too much effort. Like,
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Even-
It's really
even
not
just
worth
cooking
it.
it without tracking it is too hard.
And who knows, if you stop the Indian food for X amount of time, you may even love it so much more. Your mom's going to be so happy. Like, oh my God, she's like devouring my food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just time and patience. Like, eventually we can like wean it back in, but we have to take out any variables that we know are going to cause us to not be able to officially see the results. And I mean, thing is, it's easier now to actually lose weight or be on this fitness. Like when I did in 2016, it was so hard because there was like no low calorie stuff, hardly any like veggie, vegan protein options. Like now there's so much stuff. It's actually so much easier to get the results because there's so much out there in terms of low calorie, no calorie. Like for veggies, meat eaters, everything. It makes the journey even calories on restaurant menus.
Yeah.
So
Like,
lucky.
that is
One
so
cal
game
sprays
changer
probably
as
didn't
well.
even exist then.
No, they didn't. The 1 calorie sprays are a game changer.
Yeah.
Everyone's going out like, oh, I'm going Wagamama's. I'm like, all right, fine, use MFP that day then because just track it. You can track everything.
Yeah.
Like all the franchises have calories. And I think that's such a, for me, I look at it like, oh, that's such a grateful thing because like I had to wing it so much. I think when I was in uni, Deliveroo had just started. And I rang a GBK and I was like, do you guys do delivery? Because I don't want to come in and eat, but I really want a burger. And they were like, oh, there's an app called Deliveroo. And I was like, what is this? And then I found it and I was like, oh my God.
Game changer.
Literally. So I just think like now it's so much easier to get the results. But I think regardless, you're always going to have those little niggles when it comes to food in our culture and having those conversations. And I think the more you do it though, the more people start to accept it. And they're just like, oh, she's doing her thing.
Yeah,
like, leave
exactly.
her to it.
I think it's learning to say no and being okay with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the receiver of the no has to be okay with it as well. And it's something you just get used to. And you've got to get used to it.
Yeah.
And they have to get used to it because it's this whole education piece, isn't it? You're almost re-educating your family at the same time.
Absolutely.
And then also just swerving it and just not having those conversations. You know, I'm significantly older, but my mum would cook me my dinner every night if she could. So sometimes it's just that thing of, I will see you later, but you don't need to worry about my dinner because I've sorted my dinner. And then it's that thing of, oh, all right, then fine. You know, it's kind of more acceptable. And it's just kind of filtering out all of that stuff we keep hearing and making sure what you're saying to yourself deep down, you're hearing more of that.
Yes.
Because I think, sadly, we're not all going to get the support from families, partners, children, that kind of thing. So it's making sure your inner voice keeps saying, yeah, you're doing great, keep going. I know you've got negativity or lack of support, but just believing in what you're doing, I think that's kind of the biggest.
I always say to
thing.
clients, like, no one's gonna like support you or do it for you more than yourself. Don't expect anyone to be pushing you to your goal more than you should for yourself. And I think what I've learned recently as well is like boundaries, like having those healthy boundaries, just not even for your fitness journey, but for yourself, to be able to say no to people and stand your ground and be okay with it. Because I think as humans as well, like to an extent, we do people please, you know, we don't want to make someone feel bad. We don't want to upset someone. We don't want to annoy someone. We don't want to annoy our parents by saying, no, I don't want to eat the food that you've worked so hard to cook on tonight. But it's like, but I also need to prioritize myself because no one's going to prioritize me like I would. And having those boundaries and knowing that like you have to speak to yourself internally and be like, I know my mom's upset that I'm not eating, but long game, it is for the best. Like, and food's always going to be there. And having those boundaries, and same with like, I think when you're on this journey and you're going out with friends, for example, and doing certain things, like having the confidence to just put your, speak up and say, guys, I know we're going for dinner on Friday, but can we go Nando's so I can track? Compared to someone else just being like, yeah, we're going to go to this like restaurant in London that's like a niche restaurant and stuff like that. And it's uncomfortable. And again, your friends might not even support it. They might be like, but we don't want to go there. And this is where you'll see as well who is going to support you on your journey. And the sad thing is sometimes they're going to be your closest people won't, but it's fine because you don't have to have everyone support you, but you have to be the person for yourself to be like, no, you know what? I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to push myself. But not everyone's going to understand the journey. And I think the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can really start to progress on that self-development as well.
I think that's what people don't like. And now you said that, what people might not always realize when they're starting this journey is that they're going into it thinking, yeah, I want to improve my training, my eating habits. But actually, there's so much more to it around it than just those kind of physical things. There is this kind of sort of like the confidence thing, the boundary thing. Like for me, I never really thought of that initially starting this off, but now actually that's just as big a thing for me as everything else.
You've grown so much. Like Priya's been with me over a year?
Almost a year now? Almost a year, yeah.
And like just how much you've done, and you came in with no expectation. And like I think that's what it is. And this is what the journey I wanted to be like for every client, is the fact that is this like specific journey on yourself. Like what someone else is going through is not going to be what you go through, but it's such a self-development journey where it's like, okay, you're gonna follow a food plan, you're gonna follow a training plan, but that's like base level foundation of what you're about to embark on, because this is going to be about you digging in deep about yourself. This is going to be about you internally talking to yourself, building discipline, building habits, having better relationships and better boundaries with people, doing self-care for yourself, whether that's like starting reading, whether that's going to yoga, whether that's solo traveling, like doing these things that are going to make you the best version of yourself. And it literally starts physically. And then we go into the mental. And then it's like an all over 360 of like, I want to perfect everything about me, so I am so good in myself more than anything else. And I feel like when you have that element and you bring that energy, good things come. And then you start attracting things and you're like, oh my God. And then before you know it, in 9 months, your whole life's kind of changed. And you're a bit like, oh damn, like, and this is all down to you. Like I just gave you the tools. I didn't, like, you had to go and do it. You all had to go and do it yourself. Yeah. So even just getting up and doing that and getting it done is so much more. A lot of people don't get the results because they struggle with even that foundation level of a workout plan and a food plan. So even getting through that is a big thing to then start this journey.
I think it's and dealing and negotiating with everything that comes up as a byproduct of your journey. Because that's the stuff you can't actually, that's like the non-tangible stuff that you can't predict, or you don't know when it's going to come up. And it's kind of managing all of that. So you get to a point where you're like, I didn't think I was going to be spinning this many plates, but I am now. But I'm learning about myself, or I'm changing, or, I'm learning a lot about myself more than just the things that I thought, the training, the food, etc., the mindset. So many other things can be happening at the same time. So that's where the good stuff happens, I guess, when you really push yourself, or, you're at the edge of your comfort zone. And you learn a lot about yourself. So it's not just the basics on that journey. So much more can come out.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there can even be things that happen in your life that have nothing to do with your own journey, but can actually change the way you are with yourself. Like that could be anything in your life. Like recently I've kind of had a change in my life where I'm realizing that I don't set enough boundaries for myself, and I'm compromising on things that I shouldn't. And I'm sitting now with myself, and I'll sit in my flat and I'm just in my thoughts. I'm not with friends. I'm not with family. I'm just listening in on my own thoughts. And I'm trying to be like, okay, I want to do this, but like, and I want to do that, but like, what do I need to do for myself first? Like put myself first before anything else. Like, and I could have my friend come over tonight and hang out, but I'm like, or could I be alone and do something for myself that I need to do, And it's like, there's always time and effort, and there's always a way to improve yourself and constantly grow. Like I've been on this journey for so many years now, since 2016. And I don't look at it like, oh, I'm done, or like I'm good. I look at it like, oh no, I could do this and I can do that. And now I need to do this. And things in your life, work, personal, family, friends, relationships, can alter so much that can affect your journey as well. So looking at that from a whole, it is such a big self-development, And there's so many factors. It's like a domino effect as well.
Yeah.
But that's the best thing about starting this journey, is because then you open this can of worms. It's like therapy. You open this can of worms, and next thing you'll know, you're like, fuck.
But I think the crux of all of that, and at least what I've noticed within my own journey, is as long as you've got discipline, and like your words always ring in my ear, like discipline over motivation. It's all well and good starting off with motivation, but as long as you have discipline and you sustain that discipline over that time, no matter what you're going through, it will keep you going and it will help you achieve what you want to achieve. So last year when I was prepping for shoot, for example, I had a lot of big things happening in my life. My granddad passed away, amongst a number of other things. And that was probably actually, it was about a month from my shoot at the time, or a few weeks from my shoot. So we pushed it back because I was like, I haven't trained. But regardless of all of that going on whilst he was in hospital and whilst like everything was happening, I still made sure, even though I couldn't train, I made sure that I meal prepped in the morning. I made sure that like I got my steps in where I could. But it's because I had that core foundation of discipline. And I genuinely think if I didn't have that, and if I'd still gone ahead with the shoot, I probably wouldn't have come out of it feeling as proud of myself as I did. And I think that all played a massive factor into it, that like I can reflect. And I remember speaking to you about it when I was like, I don't want to do the shoot right now. I don't feel ready. I don't feel like I've given it my all. And you were like, yeah, but when you look back on the pictures and when you look back at the shoot and think about your experience, you're going to remember everything that you went through and how you pushed through it. And regardless of circumstances, you still maintained your discipline above all.
Like that holds so much more of a major part in your inside yourself, because it's not just a photo shoot now. There's so much clung onto that experience where you're like, you can look at those photos from that shoot and be like, this whole aspect of my life that happened that was such a major part of my life is in these photos now. So it's more than just I lost X amount of weight for a photo shoot. It's this whole thing of you're like, shit, I done a lot. Like shit, I did that. Like I got pushed to the limit. The universe tested me. God tested me. I literally thought I was like broken. Like,
literally, I was like, shit, my life blew up. Like in the space of those few weeks, my life blew up.
Like,
and I was
like discipline, like that's all you need. Like this week's been traumatic for me. Like when BB passed away earlier on, and I was like, do you know what? Like I've got 5 days between these. Like I'm gonna do it, because otherwise I'll sit at home and I'll cry about it. Like I was like, I'll come and I'll do it. And then it'll also push me to then further use that discipline in my life, like personal life, social life, and also just like my fitness. I was like, I'll do it. Like it's traumatic as it is because it's so soon, but I was like, I'll just do it. Like I'll push myself out of my comfort zone.
But it helps make you like so much more mentally stronger, right?
Literally.
And I think these kind of things and like these kind of like experiences and stuff that develop the mental strength and whatever, like you wouldn't get that.
No,
unless you
I think
push
if I
yourself
didn't
through
have
it.
that, like if I didn't have Akon being like disciplined, like I can guarantee I'd have been in my flat crying today.
I need to tattoo
Like,
that on myself.
I'd have been like sat at home and be like,
motivation.
like Akon, I'm not coming, this has happened. But I was like, no, do you know what? Like I've committed myself.
Yeah.
Like this is my time to now like test that discipline that I've built up.
And the thing is as well, like even when you said to me your train was cancelled, it wasn't even like I said, no, but find another one or do this. I left it to you.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, fair play. That's out of your control. And you still made it. And that wasn't even on me pushing. That's your own discipline.
Like I was on the phone training my friend was like, so what you can do? I was like, I'll ring train. Like there's me like sucking like, hi, my train's been cancelled.
No, honestly, like I'm so glad. And I think like everyone's journey is so different. And the thing is, sometimes I get a client join and like they do like a 12-week package, but then like XYZ in their life has happened and they're like, oh, it's done everything like this plan. It's like, no, don't ever think you're going to have an amazing 12 weeks. Don't ever if you have an amazing 12 weeks of no issues, that is false. Like, do not trust that. Like, you want a real life 12 weeks. You're going on holiday. You know, you've had a family issue. You broke up with your partner. Like, that's real life shit. And if you can get through that and you're back on it, then you know, cool. Like, this is a lifestyle thing. This isn't just like quick fix, drop X amount of weight for whatever. And then, you know, and that's the most important thing. And like, discipline is like your internal person speaking to yourself. Like, you know, I have my moments where like I'm in bed and I don't want to get out of bed because of whatever's going on in my life. And I'm like, I don't want to, I want to think and I want to sleep. And then I'm like, but I need to get up and I need to walk and I have to walk, you know, my dog and I have clients and I got this. And I'm like, as much as I don't want to, I have real life that I need to go on with. If I want to go through real life and think about this in the back of my head, fine. But I cannot stay in bed because like I have shit to do. And that is the discipline. The more you kind of put these things in your life where they're non-negotiables, like you said, Ash, about like, you know, having work or having a pet or having meetings or whatever it is that you cannot miss, it makes it easier for you to be like, I got to get my shit together. Even if I don't want to, even inside, I'm like so closed off and anxious inside. I just got to keep going.
Like you've got to list your priorities and like give yourself the reality check. Like sometimes I'll sit and think like, oh, this is a priority. And I'm like, yeah, but is it though? Like be realistic. It's not. Like there's other things that are more important than like, I don't know, say a rave in a few weeks. Like I'll be like, yeah, let's go to this club event, guys. I'm like, yeah, let's go to the mill tonight. And they're like, you for real? Like, get a grip.
But
You've got uni, not a rave to go to.
I also think it's really important to change the narrative in your own head. Discipline coupled with the fact of, rather than saying, I need to go and do this, I need to go and do that, changing it to, I get to do it.
Yeah.
Like I get to go to the gym and work on that body that I want. I get to go out and walk my dog and have fresh air. I get to eat all this kind of food that's going to make me feel a type of way in the future. Like changing that narrative, I think, and it does shift it from slightly negative, I guess, to a lot more positive, because you know
privileged you are as well. Because a lot of people aren't in the position that like we're all in, to have like a coach, have someone that we can talk to all the time. Like I remember when I started my journey, how old was I? Like 18, I think. Like I was young, and I was like, not many 18-year-olds would be that privileged to like start a journey. And I was like, well, if I'm putting money into like this, like I'm putting it into myself. I'm not like wasting it on like someone else. Like it's on me. So if I don't work for it, like I'm not going to see those results.
Fair play, you've got your head screwed on, because
Yeah.
at 18, I was like, doing all sorts at uni.
I wish I did that. You know, all I ever say to myself is the one regret is like, because when I was in uni, like I had a PT before I went to uni, and I was just doing HIIT training with him, and I lost a bit of weight and stuff, and it was great. But I never learned how to cook or nothing because home food was always there. I didn't learn anything. I was not domesticated, which again, I should be grateful for in a sense that I had it easy, but at the same time, it didn't really set me up for uni.
Yeah.
So then I went to uni and I'm going out and I'm drinking and it's takeaways and it's oven food. And in my second year of uni, I was so insecure and paranoid. Like I couldn't even go out and drink because I was like, I'm going to start crying because I don't like how I feel. So when I look back, I'm like, I wish I started my journey earlier, because if I knew these things back at uni, like, and it's so easy to be like, I wish, but you know, you have to get to a point where you're like, you just got to trust time in the universe. And it's the hardest thing to do is to put that trust there, because sometimes you don't know why things work out the way they do. Yeah. And you just have to be like, I just got to believe that this is fine and it happens like this.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, literally.
So
also, there was less education back
then. People could be telling you that, oh, your family could be saying, oh, you look really healthy, or you look really well. But until you reach that point where you think, I'm not happy, or I don't like this, or I'm not comfortable, only then you'll commit to doing anything about it or taking those first steps.
It has to click in your head. Like someone can start the journey and pay and whatever, but until it clicks in your head, and I just got to a point where I was like so unhappy, and it just clicked in my head, and I was like, I think what actually majorly helped is that like my roommate as well was like, okay, I'll come gym with you. So having someone to go, and we used to go like bloody 7 a.m. thinking it's going to be quiet, not thinking that's when the pre 9 a.m. work is going. So we used to do that and stuff. But you know, it is a privilege, and you have to look at it like, I'm grateful that I can put my body through this. I'm grateful. I was talking to someone the other day about being on prep this year, and they're like, I don't know how you do it, because I'd be so hungry, I'd be so angry, I'd be so frustrated. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. But I also look at it like, it's my choice. It's my choice to prep. It's my choice to starve myself and put my body through this. There's people out there who are having to go through this without a choice. Yeah. So how can I get angry?
Like, it's temporary as well. You're not on prep for the whole year. Like people out there are starving, like you said.
Exactly.
Like that's for them probably going to be their entire life, whereas you, like it's like 6 months or something. Like, so
how
can
temporary. How can I then be getting hangry and, you know, getting funny at people when it's my choice to starve? Like I said to them, I was like, if I'm really bad, I'll just stay in because I know I'm hungry. But also, like, I have to look at it like prep is a privilege. You know, like even with your photo shoot prep, it's like, yeah, it's tough. But you got to look at it like, yeah, I'm hungry, but like the fact that I can do this to my body, and then also reverse out from the photo shoot and get your food up. Like, when you started, Priya, you were like, what, maybe 1,400 calories? Like, because you're so petite as well, the way it is, your food was so low. And then after 12 weeks, we started bumping your food up. How you're eating so much food now. What is your calories? Like,
I think it's like on training day.
She's
like
beat you, I think.
2,700.
What?
How much?
2,700, I think.
That's more.
How much was yours?
I think it
So
was
envious.
maybe
So
5,000.
envious.
Not gonna be forever. But,
Yeah.
but I remember like seeing 1,300 and I was like, is this gonna be enough? I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna starve. Like, I'm not gonna survive on this. But actually, again, if it's like, okay, well, because I was like, I didn't feel like I was eating less that time.
Yeah.
But I've been I was eating less, but in the sense that what I was eating was more filling. So it's keeping me going for longer. So it was definitely hard, but like, it took me a good 2 weeks to kind of adjust and get into that routine. But I was like, well, actually, this isn't so bad. Because it's like, I'm eating stuff that's better for me rather than just, grabbing like a bar here or there without thinking and just thinking, yeah, this will keep me going. There's a bit of sugar that'll give me some energy for a bit.
And it's the long game, isn't it? Like, you didn't know what your journey was going to hold. You just paid for a 3-month package and you're like, whatever.
I thought that was going to be it.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
And then like, and everyone's journey is so different. Some people have to wait longer to get to that point of being able to reverse diet. But I think after 12 weeks, we were able to do it. And like the way your body's consuming so much food now. And if anything, you've not even like, you look the same as you did. Like you don't even, I think the fear with a lot of people is that if I eat more food, I go back to how I used to look. You're far from how you looked at the beginning.
Yeah, and I remember getting told, oh, you've gone really thin, you've gone really flat, don't lose anymore. And it's like, okay, well, technically, I probably weigh a little bit more now than like, say, at the end of my, when I started, in fact. So even before all this, but I don't feel like any bigger in that sense. So
yeah. And that's what it is. It's also getting your food to a healthier amount. I think for a lot of people, they'll start the journey. And the thing is, if you're generally a petite person as well, your food's going to be lower. Like it just is what it is. So, me being 5 foot, I wouldn't be on a lot of calories if I was just starting my fitness journey. I think when I first did MFP in 2016, it just bumped me straight to 1,200 because I didn't know, I didn't have a coach, and it was just what MyFitnessPal told me. So I did it and I plateaued straight away because I didn't know what was going on. But the whole point is then, once you hit your goal is to reverse out, so like with your photo shoot, we slowly bumped your calories up after that because you have to get to a point, like the average intake for a woman is like 2,000 calories. So you have to at least minimum push your body to that when you are coming to that point of your journey because you cannot stay on low calories forever. But everyone's journey is so different with it. It just depends. And your food's gotten higher than my food ever has.
Has it?
Yeah. But that's crazy, right? Like I bodybuild and the highest I've ever got my food like consistently is probably like 2.5, 2.6 maybe. So like, and that's the thing, like, you probably, your body just takes in the food so much better than mine does. And it's like, and I've been doing this since 2016, but that's what I mean. Like the journeys are so different.
It's kind of good in a way, I think, though, because I'm like, right, I know I'm ahead, I'm eating more. So like, for example, we've spoken about, like, say, like my step count. I kind of started on like a certain amount and I just gradually increased. And now I'm like, right, okay, where I used to do like 10,000 a day, I'm like, right, 12,000. And I'm in my head, I'm like, right, because I know I'm eating more, it's almost like that kind of balance. So it's almost like the two kind of go hand in hand to kind of keep you going as well.
It helps as well, I think, when you're eating a lot of food or even if you're dieting, whatever, just constantly moving like helps with your digestion. So for a lot of bodybuilders, like when I'm bulking and stuff, I need to like go on loads of mini walks and stuff just to help with digestion so that food digests and I can eat again for my next meal because it is a lot of food. So you have to do all these things and it gets a bit more complicated, but in the same sense, it's also really good for you because you're popping out, you're getting fresh air, you're moving. Like, it's just good stuff anyway. Before you know it, that's like second nature. Like, I remember when because I did 7 months on prep, I was like going for walks obviously every day. And then when I finished prep and I was like going clubbing and going out. And
You didn't even have Enzo then either, did you?
Yeah, I didn't have a dog, but I would wake up after night out and be like, oh, I've got to go for a walk because I just need to get fresh air now. Like, it was just so embedded after 7 months that I was like, I need to go out now. I need to get a walk. And then I was just like, luckily I had a friend who would also just do it. So we would just go for walks and everyone else would be like sleeping. I'm like, I can't do it. Like, it's just so ingrained. Once you have those things, like these habits you build now, that will continue with it if you want it to. Like, but old habits die hard. So where you might have an old habit of doing something, let's say like being on your phone, like in bed before you go to sleep and stuff, and you've done it for like X amount of years since you were like 15, 16 or whatever. The same way, if you've been waking up every morning and going for a walk for like 5 to 6 years, you're going to be doing that when you have a kid if you want to, you could be doing that when you're married with your husband, like whatever it is. And that's up to you, and that's something that I always say is like, I need to go and do this. And like, if no one else wants to come with me, I'll go on the walk on my own, but like, I'm going to get it done.
I was so happy getting out this week because I wasn't able to walk, like really like walk about as much because of my like tattoo. Like,
yeah.
So just getting out this week, I was just like, this is so nice getting out, just getting fresh air. And just little things like that just felt so good.
It just wakes you up as well. Like I know a lot of people, I know with the weather, it's like really hard to like go on walks and it's like raining and all this kind of stuff. But when that fresh air hits you, it does make a difference. Like I'd rather do my steps outside than do it indoors. And if I have to do it indoors, it's fine. But that fresh air, it just does something for you in the morning.
It wakes you up.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's
does,
me. Like I think like, oh, I'm wide awake, and I go out and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
New world.
Paired with like a good book or podcast or like your favorite playlist, it can really set up your day.
Yeah.
Just
I stick
re-engages you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I stick on Audible. Like
Yeah.
and that's really good. Yeah.
And it's the best thing you can do. And then it's like you're killing two birds with one stone. You're doing self-development and you're reading these books and whatever it may be. And then you're also like getting your steps in and doing that. And that's what it is. If you like, I do my cardio in the morning on my spin bike, but I'll do client messages at the same time. And I get really excited because I'm like, oh, if I do cardio, I know I'll get the messages done.
Yeah, like when you send a voice note, I can hear like the pad.
Yeah.
Like, she's on the bike. I'm like, she's right.
I'm like out of breath, like, okay.
Sometimes
So
I'm like, yeah, I can hear you outside as well.
I was voice noting a client the other day, and like obviously Enzo's my dog is still a puppy and stuff, so he's trying to like hold like his wee in as long as he can, but obviously sometimes he can't. And in the morning I'd want to get my cardio done. It's only 20 minutes and then I'll walk him. So he like, I was voice noting a client. I was like, yeah, so if you can send me these videos and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, yeah, so send me this. And Enzo! Because he's like peeing on his beanbag. And I'm just like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. She's like, no, it's fine. And she just heard me yelling at him like pure anger. So I'm just like, you all heard it now.
Keep the pup dates coming down.
Oh, yeah, we were having a whole chat in the car about children and puppies. And it's just a lot. It's a lot, but I think you're not gonna lie, dogs are great. It helps keep you on track. I don't get any lions because of him. I'm constantly walking because of him, so I have to do my steps.
I've actually so I'm not very good in the mornings. I've never been a morning person. Even when I'm working from home, I'll basically just roll out of bed about half an hour before, if that. But this year I really made it like I'm not really a New Year's resolution person either, but I was like, I'm going to set some goals and I'm going to try and stick to them. So I'm trying to read and journal before bed every night, or at least every other night. And in the mornings, Leo will definitely wake me up. Leo's my dog, by the way. He'll definitely wake me up around 7:45, 8ish. It's just getting earlier and earlier, which is quite annoying, quite frankly. But this year, I've really been making the effort to try and get up, take him for a walk in the mornings before I start my work day, and then come back and I know I'm ready. So I'm like, incentivize myself. I'm like, all right, if I take him for a walk, I can stop by, get a coffee, I can listen to my music, and I know that I'll be like in a good zone. I'll be ready for the day, raring to go, come back. And do you know what? I feel so much better for it. And at least that way, get my steps in. If I've done a half an hour, 40-minute walk, I know easy 3,000-4,000 steps, done.
Yeah, and thing is that when you incentivize something, it makes it so much easier. So like I used to tell myself, I'm going to go for a walk and stop at the Greg's opposite mine and get a coffee. And that coffee is just so much better than a homemade coffee.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, but it's like, you know, X amount every day. And if you times that by 7 and times that by 4, and then like you spend like 500, 600 pounds on coffee. But mentally, it's
you
like,
gotta take
it's
the L
so
sometimes.
nice. Yeah. And you know what? They love me now. They'll just give me free coffees. They'll say hi to Enzo. Like they just love it now.
Yeah, they know my order. I love it. You know you've made it when you walk in, you're like, the usual?
Yeah. And I think things like little pick-me-ups like that, it makes creating a habit so much easier. If you add something positive to a habit, it's like habit stacking. It just makes it so my habit is to go get a coffee, but that means I have to go get a walk. I'll never get a coffee and not do the walk. So if you start doing things like habit stacking, which is
have you read it? I swear I just read this the other day.
Then it helps. So
Instant quick win.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
And that's what it is. And when you do stuff like that, it just makes it easier to build those habits. Like I say to a lot of people who go into the office, just take your gym bag in your car. Don't go home after work. Go straight to the gym. I know if I came home, I wouldn't go. I know personally, I just know what works for me and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But once you know that, it just makes it easier.
Like I'll wear my gym gear to like work. Because I work like H&M Home and it's like there, and then my gym's just there, and I'm like, do you know what? Like they don't care what I wear to work as long as I look like presentable. I'm like, I'll take my gym gear with me. I'll wear it to work, and then I have no excuse to not go. I can't be like, oh, I'm wearing jeans, can't go now.
Yeah, that's why in the mornings when I get up to like walk Leo, for example, the first thing I'll do is make sure that like I put on gym clothes, because then I know if I come back and it's like just before I would probably plan to go to the gym, I'd faff around a bit and I'd be like, can I be bothered to change? I'm warm. Do I want to go? But I know if I'm in those clothes, that's it. There's no excuse. I'm out of there.
Or like even planning your outfit the night before. Like I used to sit there and be like, oh, what should I wear to the gym today? Like it's not a fashion show, no one cares. But in my head, I'm like, if I look good, then I'll feel good. And I'll be like, I want to go more.
Honestly,
care. That's what matters.
Like that's what I do. Like when I was on prep, I was buying loads of gym clothes, which obviously don't fit me now. But like when I'm on prep, it's just like, oh, these are nice. Like this, like a nice halter neck bra, and these are nice shorts, and it just makes it so much nicer for when you do train. Like it's like when you put makeup on, it's like you're doing it for yourself. You know, people will do like solo date nights. Like I'm gonna go to the cinema, I'm gonna go for dinner, I'm just doing a solo date. So who are you putting makeup on? For myself. Like, you know, that feeling of doing it for yourself is something I'm only starting to like do myself.
Yeah, like I'd rock up to work and my manager would be like, why are you wearing a full face at like 9 o'clock in the morning? I'm like, well, if I look good, then I'll feel good. And I won't be like bitchy. I won't be like bitchy at a customer because it's so early in the morning. I'll be like, I'm in a good mood.
It annoys you when, you know what, slightly, when people even ask, it annoys me. Like I remember when I went in, I used to work at the perfume shop at uni. And if I was hungover, I'd come in, no makeup. Oh, you're not well. No, I'm fine. I'm just not wearing makeup. Like, don't like ask. Like, what's it to you if I wear full face of makeup?
Yeah, or like even like say like if I wore this to work, they'd be like, why are you so like dressed up? And I'm like, to feel good about myself.
But that's the thing. People think they're like, oh, it's for somebody else.
Yeah.
Even like we're working from home, you know, I know people that wear full face of makeup, and if that makes them feel good, then why not? Just do it. If you don't want to, equally do what feels right for you.
Exactly.
Self-love comes first.
Yes. Since we're on the topic anyway, approaching your 30s, go. Who's gonna go? I feel like it's stressing me out a lot. Yeah. But I feel like there's the biological time clock that stresses me out because I want to kind of enjoy things with my kids and not feel like my mom was quite old doing things. So there's a lot of things she couldn't do with me. But at the same time, I also feel like if I was to carry a baby right now, I would look really silly because I am a baby basically. So, but that pressure is, being 28, that pressure is coming. I feel it and I don't want to feel it, but I also hear like 30s is when you actually live. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm turning 30 in about 4 months. And I think if the biological pressure wasn't there, I don't think I'd feel as stressed about it. I think generationally, culturally, all of that, like I think there was a lot of like emphasis put on age bands and age groups and like achieving certain things by certain ages, whether that be get married, have kids, blah, blah, blah. But I think when you move along in the generations, you realize that there's actually a lot more to life. Like, especially now as women, you know, there's so much, we have so much more power. We have so much more independence. We have so much more that we want to achieve in life. And it's not all about, you know, getting married, having kids. That's not our biggest achievements. There's like the world is our oyster, right? And so I think if you limit yourself and think that, okay, well, you need to do everything by 30, then you're not actually living your life to its fullest. And I used to think when I was younger, I want to be like engaged by 25, 26, have my first kid by like 28, 29. I want to be a young mom. I want to be cool. And don't get me wrong, like you just said, I don't want to be restricted in what I can do with my kids in the future. But at the same time, I'm so grateful my life didn't turn out that way because all the like experiences and life lessons I've learned over the course of my 20s, I wouldn't have had that if my life had gone down that route. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Everything happens for a reason, right? You've got to trust the process and know that like things will happen when the time is right. And at the end of the day, it's a number. Like it is what you put on it. You know, a lot of people are worried about that turning 30 and you know, that's completely fine. But I see it as an exciting thing. I have older cousins who are like 30s are the best years of your life. So I'm like, do you know what? Bring it on. I'm ready for it. Like, yeah, it's all good.
I feel like 30s, and this is what people say to me, is that like with your 30s, you have the money because you've worked hard to be able to do the things you want to do. And you just kind of hit this point where like, I don't care anymore what anyone has to say. And I'm just going to kind of live my life as I want and do the things I want to do. And like, there's this whole side of your 30s where it's like your 20s is like finding yourself. Your 30s is like when you know who you are and you are going for it with life. But at the same time, it's hard as well when it's like for me, example, I've got a mix of friends who are single, friends who are getting married, and friends who like have kids and stuff. So for me, it's okay because like I see a mix of it. But I feel like when you're in a situation where you're surrounded by that, it can be hard as well.
Yeah. I think that like I've like, you know, I'm in my early 30s now and I was like the same as you, you know, I want to have this and that done, you know, well, that checklist by the time you're 30. And then as soon as I kind of was approaching the day, I was like, right, it's not happening. And I was a bit, but I was like, I just kind of said, I was like, it is what it is. But I think, you know, like just, and maybe it's part of being on this journey as well. I feel like I've done so much or like achieved so much more just like in the last couple of years alone. And in that sense, yeah, like I feel like, you know, my 20s, in a way, I'm glad I didn't do all the stuff that I thought I wanted to have by the time I was 30 because I don't think I was fully ready for it. Even at the time, I thought I was. But I feel like now I know myself a lot more. And also, I'm not the person that I was even just like a few years back alone as well. And like
Even just who you were when you started the program.
Exactly, yeah. I don't feel like I was that person like a year ago even.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's exciting as well when you see that growth and you see how quickly growth happens. And you're like, wow, I had like 10 years where I was like really understanding things. And then now I've just grown so much in the space of like 6 months to a year. And that's like, and I still have so much more time left. So it is like, there's an element of excitement to it. There's an element of like fear as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like the fear that you're feeling now, like I feel it, and I'm only 21.
No,
stop.
Don't even.
Like my friends all sit there and they're like, I want babies, but I'm 25, and I'm like, okay.
No,
Cool.
you know,
Pressure is on.
it's crazy, isn't it? Because sometimes I look back when I was PTing in Pure Gym, and back then, like I was like 23 or something, and I wasn't really thinking about life at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, get through each day, work really hard, do the hours, make the money, go and enjoy life. And it was just taking each day as it comes. And I look back and I think, oh, I really took that for granted. Because now I'm thinking about everything. Okay, so like property and like budgets and like finance. And like, am I even doing, you know, when I'm retired, like my savings and stuff? Like, am I even putting money away for that? And I'm like thinking about all these things. And I'm like, this is giving me anxiety. Like, there's a lot more to it. But I think being 21, like,
The world is my oyster.
yeah.
That's how I
my
see
God,
it. And then my
really
friends
is.
like,
It really
yeah, like
is.
I want to be married by 25 and kids, and listen, I'm like, you've got a boyfriend. I'm single. You're making me feel a lot worse.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? Like, when I was 21, I didn't think I was going to be a PT. I was going to just graduate and get a 9 to 5, and I worked in IT for about a year.
Yeah,
So
like,
I never even had it in me at your age.
Yeah, like it's insane. My mum was saying, she was like, Tina, did you ever think you'd move to Birmingham? I was like, no. Like, on a whim, I was like, right, do you know what? I'm changing uni. I was at Amsterdam airport, and I was like, right, life change.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it. Is like you can, and I think even at any age, really, you can still have that choice of being spontaneous.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to be comfortable enough to take that leap of faith and just think, I don't know where this is going to lead me, but this will help me grow and this will help me become the person that I need to be. Like, you know, we were talking all about like solo travels and things like that, and it's like there's all these elements of self-development. And when you're at my age of 28 or your age of 21, it's like the way you look at life can still be so similar yet so different. And I think no matter what age you are, I guess like there's so, even like I have a client and she's had a career for years and now she's going into being a pilot.
Yeah.
So it's like, and you know,
Wow.
it's a risk,
Yeah.
you know, it's a major risk to spend so long and, you know, be at a point in your life where you should just kind of settle and crack on. And you're like, actually, no, I want to do a massive career change. And that's amazing because that's so scary. And even when I went into PT, my parents were like, are you sure you don't want like a side job, like part-time?
Did they turn around and be like a proper job?
Yeah.
My dad's like that. He's like, are you ever going to get a proper job? Are you just going to continuously go back to uni and do another degree? I'm like, yeah.
And this is the thing, right? Because everyone, again, puts their 2 pence in. And I just said, listen, I'm giving it 6 months. If it doesn't work in 6 months, fine. I'll go back to corporate. And then after 6 months, it obviously worked and I continued. But it's like you have to put that risk on yourself and put that faith, that leap of faith in yourself, no matter what.
Why continue to live a life where you're unhappy and not achieving what you want to achieve because you're listening to what other people are saying?
And making everyone else happy.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's at the detriment of yourself at the end of the day. So, like who you were just speaking about, the fact that she's taking this plunge to do it, regardless of the fact that everyone around her, more or less everyone around her, wasn't very supportive of this, she's still doing it. I literally said to her last night, I'm so proud of you for doing this and for following through with it and like being like, do you know what? Screw the world. You need to do what's right for you at the end of the day. And if it makes you happy and if that's going to bring you any sort of satisfaction in life over what you're doing right now, then it's worth it. It's worth all of the sacrifices you're making in the process.
100%. Ash, you had your first child at 28, 27?
27.
So
Yeah.
how
So
is
for me, listening to you guys, generationally, did I do it in the wrong order? I think it's empowering that times have changed and women can do more and in essence have it all. You can have a career, you can educate yourself, you could be a parent, you could have a relationship, you could be a single parent. You know, there are so many more options now. And I think sometimes it's just listening to you guys. It's about not sweating the small stuff. Have a plan, have a journey, have things you want to do, because I certainly don't want to get to, you know, much later in my life and think, I wish I'd done that, or if I'd done that, that would have fulfilled me a bit more or made me happy, but I didn't do it because of somebody else. Or so, you know, I think it's about obviously there is like this kind of rolling road of life and lots of interesting milestones, and they might be marriage, relationships, children, careers, but you have to kind of make your own plan and understand what works for you. And if you reach a point in that journey and you don't have children, or you maybe didn't get married, etc., that's still okay, because I'm sure you will have amazing accomplishments and things that you have achieved that you may not have achieved if you had maybe decided to get married a lot younger or have children a lot younger. I think it's kind of getting comfortable with that and understanding that you don't have to conform to what society wants you to conform to as a woman. You know, we don't need people to look after us anymore because we can work for ourselves. You know, many, many years ago, people would say to their daughters, you know, I want you to get married and find someone to look after you and settle down. But we actually go out and work now, and we can have these great careers and be pilots, etc., because times have changed now.
And I think it's now
completely flipped now.
It's more about like when you're finding a partner, it's the fact of like, I want you, but I don't need you.
Yeah.
It's the element of like, we can do so much now. And I think, you know, it's great to have a support system, have a partner there and do all these things. But I think for you to have any healthy relationship, you have to have a great relationship with yourself and be okay in how you are in life right now, whether you're going through a good time or a bad time, and like, you know, how you're cracking on. Are you where you thought you'd be? It's okay if you're not, because like timing is crazy. That's what I've come to realize with the universe, is like the timing of things is like so uncanny, and you kind of just have to put trust in it. In the situations I've had where like things have gone so wrong, I tell myself, no, it's fine, because you've got this, and it's okay. So, you know, just be happy, and I'm sure everything will work out. And then when I really talk to myself positively, I end up having the greatest time, or it's a great experience. I'm like, oh my God, like I did that like in my head, but I know if I didn't mindfully think like that and I just stressed myself out, I would have had like such a bad, like you just have to put trust out
like
there.
You just dig a deeper hole. Like if you just continue, give yourself pity, you just deeper dig hole.
Yeah.
Like I've been there, done that.
Thing is, when you dig that deep hole, it's hard to get out of.
Yeah.
And I think it's stepping away from the labels as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't need any more labels, but that's me personally. But some people might feel they want to be a wife or a girlfriend or a mother. I've got enough labels. I'm a daughter, you know, I'm a mother. Do I need that?
Yeah.
I just want to be me. I just want to be me and kind of pad along and do what works for me and what makes me happy. I know it sounds like really simple, but I think sometimes it gets a bit lost on us. That we're doing
100%.
things for other people or to fit in or to conform. I don't really want to do that. I want to kind of trek up the mountain by myself if I want to, or with people if I want to, or not at all.
It's hard, isn't it? Because I feel like half the pressure of me wanting to settle down and have kids is because I don't want my grandparents to not see their kid. Do you know what I mean? Like to not see my kids. So I've got this pressure of like, but it would be lovely to settle down and have babies, because then like before like my grandma's passed, they can see that. But then I'm also like, but then I don't want to just rush it and then make a mistake. And then it's like this inner battle of like trying to do these things that you want to do, but you also know you can't control these things.
And I think it's understanding you can't control it, because, you know, I really wanted, like, the one person I would have ever wanted at my wedding was my granddad. And, you know, he passed away 6 months ago and he's not going to be there. And that's devastating for me. But it's fine. You know, life is what it is. It's dealt you the cards that it has. It's meant to play out in a certain way. And yeah, you have those internal battles. I used to have so many battles with myself, like, and regret that, like, I couldn't give that to him because I really wanted to give that to him. But at the end of the day, you know, you can be with someone and be really unhappy just to please someone else and then be screwed for the rest of your life, or be truly happy even though people may not be there to see it, but, you know, they'll be wherever they are. They'll be happy knowing that, you know what, you set up for life and you know, worked out the way it was meant to. And it's hard, and I think that all stems from like cultural things that we've been taught and these generational things that we're still trying to push past. And it is a constant battle with, at least for me it is, with older generations. But at the end of the day, it's your life. you're only going to live it once. So you've got to do what's best for you, put aside everything else, all external pressures, you know, any expectations people may have of you, and just be like, do you know what? No, I'm going to make these choices. I'm going to allow life to play out the way it's meant to play out, and trust that at the end of the day, it's going to be what's best for me.
The thing is, I do have this like firm belief that like there is someone watching and like guardian angels and stuff. Like, you know, when certain things happen in life and you're a bit like, it's crazy how this has happened. It's very uncanny, even movie-like. But it just showed there must be someone watching to have saved me from what this could have been, or to have protected me from whatever this is. And it's like, it's weird because I'm not that into things like that. But I also think, I do believe, so, you know, like we said, like they're not there, but they are there. Like it's a weird kind of feeling and thinking to have. But I do believe that. I believe like there's like protection and like energy and like guardian angels and stuff. And the way things work for a reason. And you know what it is? I said to one of my clients the other day, you're never going to understand why something went wrong until the right thing happens.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in situations where like something's happened, let's say for the business, and it's given me like PTSD. Like I'm just like, this is crazy. Like I still can't understand why it didn't work out or why this happened the way it did. And then when it finally pans out, whether that's a year later or 2 years later, I'm like, now it makes sense because the right thing has happened. But until then, I was in my head about it. But you're never going to know till the right thing. So until you hit those milestones or things that you want happen, then you're going to be like, I see. And it could even be nothing to do with you. It could be the fact that that person who was supposed to come, it wasn't their time to come into your life or whatever it's supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
And like the element of time and like coincidence and all these things, I think plays, timing is so massive, and it will come when it's least expected.
But also, I think reflecting back on the experiences you've been through, whether they be negative or positive, but particularly, let's say, the negative ones, it's easy to get caught up in, you know, why has this happened to me? What, like, you know, why couldn't this like have happened another way or whatever? But, and it's easier once you're like getting yourself out of it that you reflect back and you're like, okay, but what have you learned from it? And sometimes through those hardest situations, you get the best lessons. And from that is where you get the best self-growth and self-development. So I know for myself, the last 6 months, as hard as it's been for me, like I've changed a lot as a person mentally. And I don't think any of that would have happened. Any of the things that I've learned over the last 6 months wouldn't have happened if I hadn't gone through what I'd gone through. And I'm grateful for that. When you're caught up in it and when you're like in your head and you're emotional and this and that, then you're like, I hate life. Oh, this is like, you know, can't this change? Like whatever. But then when you're starting to get out of it and you reflect back, you're like, do you know what? I'm actually really, really grateful for everything it's given me, because it's only building me up to be the person that I'm meant to be, or the person that I am now. Without all of these things, we wouldn't be who we are today. Or we probably even sat here today, you know?
These situations shape us.
Absolutely.
And then you can help and support other people in your circle in time to come. If you've actually got the life experience, you're actually going to fully understand how they feel or be able to support them through it. Whereas maybe other people in their circle might just try and support them or try and listen. You're actually going to get it more because you've been on the inside.
And I think there's a stark difference between sympathy and empathy. And I think unless you've gone through those experiences and you're able to then help and relate to a person, you're not able to empathize with it. And it's so much stronger if you're able to empathize with the person. And like you said, you can't do that.
No.
Like, unless you've gone through what you've gone through, you're not going to be able to do that.
It's crazy the way our experiences shape us. And it is always like the hardest experiences, I think, that shape us the most. Like, I think it's more things that have happened in my life that have maybe like, you know, made me upset or triggered me, have shaped me more than, you know, amazing things where like I got my degree or I won a show or whatever, you know. It's those hard reality hits where it's like, okay, fine, how do I get over this? How do I overcome this? And I always do feel like things wouldn't happen unless you were able to overcome it, you know. And the whole element is like trying to keep everything together while you overcome it. So, you know, when you're going through these things in life and you're also working a job that you can't mess up in, doing your fitness that's supposed to make you feel good, like you're doing all these things and then real life hits you. And it's how are you going to adapt and like deal with it and be like, okay, life is crap right now, but I still have to get about my day to day. So I need to just put my big girl pants on and do the best I can. And if I need to go home and have a cry, I'll have a cry, but I'm going to get through this. Like you have to be your biggest supporter. Like no one's going to cheer you on like you'll cheer yourself and you'll be like, you got this, it's fine.
But I think like, again, coming back to like, you know, this whole journey, you know, working with like, you know, like yourself, like a coach or anyone, you know, some people will say, oh, like I've had people say, for example, when I've been in the gym, come to me say, oh, I'll say, they'll be like, you know, I'll say I work with a coach. Oh, how's that going? And they'll just look at like the training and stuff like that. They don't see all those other things that you've spoken about. Because like you say, it's not just about, oh, did you have a good, you know, set of training sessions this week? And, you know, that's, you know, things are great in that sense. It's like, they don't think about all the things that happen around it. Because you've got to make it like,
holistic approach.
Yeah.
it is that though.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's like a whole, like, I need to, you know what? I need to do a retreat. Like, let's go to Marrakesh.
Can we actually?
I mean,
Yeah.
I know people that do it. I've never thought of doing it, but I feel like the way we're all
Yeah.
talking, like, I feel like a retreat is great because you get away. And it's like, I saw something on TikTok where it was like this ad, but it was like this self-love retreat in Bali. And I was like, and they're like, only do this if like it was like a questionnaire you had to fill in to see if you were like eligible for it. And I thought, but you know, that's so good. If imagine you do a solo trip, but everyone on the trip is on this whole self-love journey where it's like, we're going to do yoga and we're going to do like mindful meditation and we're going to do a list. We're going to do all these things that are going to help you better yourself and look at things differently. And we're going to work out and we're going to eat good. Like that would be like, you know, and they do things like that anyway. But I think that is what it is. It's like going on one of those retreats, except you're not on the retreat. You're in everyday life. You're trying to do this self-love journey, not when you've got 10 days off work and you're chilling, but when you're working and you got meetings and you got family stuff going on and relationship stuff like that, then you know, okay, you know what? I can do this self-love in reality, not when I'm switched off from reality to go away for 10 days.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And that's hard. Not a lot of people can do that. Like for you all to even get to this point in your journeys is amazing. To still be here and even just be accountable to the fact that I am on this journey, and if I've fallen off, that's okay, and like I'll get back on because like I believe in myself, because so many people can't even do that.
It's
so
like
to be
the
this
mental aspect, like all everyone sees is like the physical. And I'm like,
Exactly. Yeah.
like sometimes I'll have family and be like, oh, I heard you were losing weight. I'm like, yeah. Oh, I don't really see a difference. Well, yeah, because it's not always going to be physical. The like mental growth that I've had is like ridiculously off.
But that's such a problem within society
Yeah.
itself, right? Like there's a lot of
they're like,
emphasis
oh, well, I don't
based on
see the difference.
physical.
I'm like, it's not always going to be physical.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that have to happen behind the door for that then physical change to happen.
Yeah.
as well is like, you know, you could see someone who's dropped like 30 kilos and they look amazing. You think, oh my God, that is goals. She looks great. I guarantee you inside she'll be like, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I hate myself, I don't like this and I don't like that, because it's all this pressure on aesthetic. And it's great, you know, you can lose weight and you can feel great and do whatever you want to do, but you have to prioritize that like mental health with yourself and that relationship with yourself before anything else. You know, like when I was on prep, like, you know, I'm there and I'm smiling and I'm getting through day to day, but I'm tired. I can't live like that. I can't be on prep and go through that. And, you know, like I'm struggling, like I'm just getting about my day, but also I understand that like prep is a choice. So I'm trying to be happy and not be aggy and stuff. But I'm happier being 10 kilos heavier right now and doing this with you guys and able to drink a red wine and like just enjoy and be in the moment. And it's those wholesome moments, you know, like they say a lot about how you grow and how you are as a person, the experiences you have and things like that. And like, you have to put the mental health first and that relationship with yourself first before anything. And obviously physically, yeah, that comes along later down the line. But there's people who look amazing. And I guarantee you, in a few years' time, they'll go back on their Instagram and be like, yeah, but I was not happy in this body and I'm happy now. And they're like 20 kilos
Like I think
heavier.
if you want it to be like a long-term, like lifelong thing, you've got to have that mental change first.
Yeah, 100.
Otherwise,
It's got
it's
to
not
click
gonna
where you're
stick.
like, I'm ready to change. Not just physically, but like, I want to be the best version of myself. And that's not an easy journey. Because then you got to dive into some self-truths about yourself, you know, and be like, okay, I know I'm like this and I know I'm like that. But okay, I'll try to change it, you know?
But I know you've said to me before, like, especially like for the mental health or the well-being part or what works for you, that, okay, this isn't going to work. The scales are not going to work. They are not our friend.
Yeah.
So let's stop using them and let's use X, Y, and Z, you know, or let's adopt a different method, because this is not doing you any, it's not helping your journey because you're fixating on something. So let's step away from that and let's do something else. And that's like really refreshing as well, because traditional, you know, coaches or, you know, the system or how it works is to live and die by the scales.
Yeah.
It depends how old you are, if you're a woman, if you know what phase you are in your life. So, you know, that's been really helpful.
And
I think for me, I was going to say about the challenges that I've had as well, like with certain health things, like my iron being up and down all the time. I didn't always get to train when I want, consistently. So every 12 weeks is not always the same for me. And I know we've worked through that, and it's like planning ahead, that sort of thing. But it is that discipline, and it is that, right, okay, what can I do instead then? What's going to help through that to keep me kind of mentally happy and saying, is that walk with my Audible going to help me for 20 minutes? Is that, am I going to eat this and it's going to make me happy? Some of the meals that I'm sticking to my meal plan. So it's like that, thinking about that and being a bit more kind of proactive around, yeah.
And I think as well, when it comes to things like health conditions and stuff like that, that obviously does make someone's journey harder, but it doesn't make it impossible. And I think this is where you have to tweak things up. So like you said, no 12 weeks is the same for you. However, something that you're going through is something, with a lot of South Asians as well, like low iron is really common. Like a lot of us are like iron deficient and stuff, and something that I always say to a lot of my clients is like, take your vitamin D as a base level. And if you're required more, get more, and whatever your GP says. But you don't let it stop you. You do what you can. If it means staying on your food, if it means walking. And the thing is, there's no pressure to be like, get your 4 sessions in. But as long as you feel good with what you've done and you're doing the best you can, that's all that matters.
I think you've always said to me as well, additionally to that, is like always check in every week. So regardless, because I'm like, but I haven't done my training this week, or I haven't eaten well. And you're like, okay, but you've done what else have you done? And I know there's a key point in there is like, what are you proud of this week? So, and what are you going to change next week? So it's always thinking ahead, or thinking like, what have you done that's worked really well then? It might not be the 4 days of training, but yeah.
And thing is as well, like, accountability is so key. And that's where it's like, people don't realize is the most important aspect of coaching, because it's so easy for us as humans to get in our own head and overthink things and think, oh shit, no, not this, not that. When really you just need someone there to be like, listen, you're fine. Like, you're telling me, no, but I've not done it. It's fine. It's fine. And that's the thing. When you have someone who you have trust in, that knows what they're saying, knows what they're doing, has the experience, and they're telling you you're good, you're going to be like, okay, fine, I'm good. And that's all you need sometimes, is that person to be like, listen, I know you feel stressed. I know you feel like you're not doing what you can, but you're doing the best you can. And that's all that matters. And having someone on your team and having someone behind you supporting you, especially on this journey, which can be very lonely, like, you need that. And that's the main element of the coaching, is like having the accountability to overlook it. Even if you like say to me, listen, I'm doing this, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, nothing else. Yeah, that's fine. Like, you're good. Like, we're good. But even just over checking and looking at those things, like, for a lot of you, you're cruising right now in your journeys, you're cracking on, you're doing what you need to do. But things change any minute of any day. And also sometimes you can crack on for like 4 weeks, but it's just me being like, yep, all good. Because you want to double check and everything. You want to make sure, you want to have that trust that like, okay, there's this person and like, I know. And especially when you're going through things like health conditions or whatever it may be, you're going to have that self-doubt. You're going to feel crappy in yourself. You're going to have these moments where like, you just feel like you could do more. But you are. And it's just someone telling, listen, you're good. And everyone's journeys are so different. And like, for you as well, you've come such a long way. Similar to Tina, like mentally as well. Like, you've been there where you need to. You put the work in when you need to. You're progressing with your career when you can. Like, you're doing everything you can. And it's just accepting that like, no two people's journeys are the same. And the minute you can understand that it is you versus you, yeah, who you were 6 months ago to who you are now, to who you want to be in 6 months' time, compared to what about this girl on Instagram? What about this person? What about this person? The minute you take that away and it's just like, I want to be 1% better than the person I was a week ago, you will do that. And you should be so proud of yourself, like how far you've come with that. And there's some people that are in the same boat, but it doesn't feel like it because you don't know anyone. And that's where it gets lonely. And that's why it's like important for everyone to feel like they can come together and talk about these things. And another topic that I feel like is not spoken enough about is menopause, And we were saying earlier, like, if I knew back then what I knew now, like, my poor mum, like, I just think she had hella mood swings and was always having to go at me. But actually, like, it's tough. And it's something that, Ash, you've had experience in now, and we've worked together on. And we've had to go with a different approach for you. Like you said, like, we don't do the weigh-ins every week because that's not going to measure your progress right now, because there's so many external variables now going through this phase of your life, which really every woman is going to go through.
And it's so frustrating because like I started my journey in 2020 and it was going great. It was moving along. Everything was happening as I needed it to. And then suddenly, huge roadblock. And I'm just like, I didn't really want life to give me this, but it did. But, you know, the thing is, as we said, you got to kind of navigate the journey with all of these lovely little curveballs that come at you. And for me, it was like menopause, perimenopause. It was like massive. It was a big game changer because I was just like, right, okay, how am I going to handle this? I could just, you know, bury my head in the sand and think it's not happening. But it was about reading more, learning more, seeing what's out there. Could it work for me? You know, talking about it, you know, and obviously I appreciate, you know, in different phases of life, but you were super supportive and you were learning when I was learning.
Yeah. I'm
oh
super
my God,
grateful
this
for
is
you.
it's going to impact me like this. And you were like, oh, really? Okay. And then and I think in the last 12 months, I've learned so much about my health, my well-being, finding out what support's available medically, physically, mentally, all of that. And then just kind of thinking, okay, this isn't going to stop me. I'm just going to kind of tool myself up, learn, and then adapt and keep going and still be getting results, but in a slightly different way, and work with my body
in a different
way and listen to it, you know?
And thing is, with menopause, we have to kind of like accept the fact that like it's going to be even more different person to person. And with you, we stopped weighing. I think we were weighing like every 2 weeks or so, but we were like, we're just using that to make sure we're not going up and up and up, and we're just maintaining. And we were prioritizing different styles of training. We were doing weights, we were doing swimming, we were doing spin classes. And it was more how you feel and how clothes felt and how you felt in yourself than like what the number was saying to you, because it was just affecting the scale so much that it was just such a inaccurate variable eventually, which is going to be when you're going through menopause. You cannot rely on the scale. And having a few more clients now who are going through that procedure, you have to look at it's a different ball game. You have to look at it completely different to anyone else and think, okay, well, we have to approach this in a whole different way, which means you need to step away from certain aspects that you would have deemed normal in your fitness journey. And because
you almost
started
need to
it before,
deprogram yourself from all the normal variables, and you almost have to kind of go, okay, it doesn't mean I'm not moving forward. I'm just moving forward in a different way. And then you also have to look back at your journey and look at all the positives and all the gains and go, oh my God, I look at my pictures 2 years ago and I looked like that. And now I will look like this.
Yeah.
So I am progressing, but you know, you have to use all of those tools around you.
And I think it's important discussing it now because, like I said, if I knew now what I knew then with my mum, I could have probably supported my mum better and helped her better, but I didn't know. And it's not talked about enough. My mum probably didn't know. And, you know, it's understand that, okay, there's a lot of support that's needed because you guys are going through it so much day to day. How long does it even...
Well, I mean, you've got like the perimenopause, which can go on for like years.
Yeah.
Can go on for years. And I didn't even understand the whole definition of what menopause was and what perimenopause was. So it was just through doing the reading and understanding. It was like menopause is when you actually have not had a period for over a year. You have technically completed the menopause. Everything before that, all of, you know, the hormonal changes, you know, the brain fog, anxiety, hot flushes, all of that is perimenopause, and it can just go on and on and on and on and on.
And you know, it's crazy because I remember I had one PT client and she came to me when she started. She's like, I'm going through menopause. I was like, okay. She's like, I've not had a period for 3 months. And then 2 weeks into her training with me, it was the second session. She's like, I started my fucking period. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know. I was like, this is a good sign. Like, and then it just, the exercise and the food just kickstarted her time a month and her cycle. And we were trying to like figure it out and understand, is this good? Is this bad? What does this mean for you? And every time she resorted back, if she took a break from training or something and she resorted back to it, it would just kickstart it again. And I know she wasn't willing, she didn't want to take HRT. So it was very, very natural what was happening, which meant it was so raw and like up and down.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was very much, let me read and find out what's out there. I tried the herbal route to take herbal remedies. I looked at like health, well-being, lifestyle changes, and I tried all of that. And then I was just like, I still feel like my hormones are holding me hostage. They're controlling me, and I need it to be the other way around. So then I was just like, I think I'm going to go and see my doctor and talk to them. And I think the difference it made as well, because I know there's been like a lot of bad press about GPs not being very supportive, but I went in there and I knew a lot as a patient because I had taken the time out to read up. And I think automatically that barrier came down of this person is really invested in their own health and well-being, so let's work with them. So I didn't feel like I was being dictated to. I felt like I had choices and options of, could I try this or could I try that, and kind of went forward on that path. And it's worked for me. So it's helped me kind of level out and feel so much better, and then be able to kind of continue on my journey in a slightly different way and spin all of those plates that life has. Working, socializing.
You're doing a lot.
You know?
You're doing, and if you can do it all, there is no excuse, guys.
No, exactly.
Choose the representation of, honestly. Representation. But no, I appreciate, because it's not something I've spoken about a lot. And I think even just you just explaining your story and explaining that across a lot of women are going to be able to resonate. And I feel like it's something we want to talk about more and educate ourselves on more, so we can handle it in the most practical way instead of just pushing things that aren't going to work.
And it's scary because I was at a point in my profession where, you know, I would be chairing meetings, talking to people, writing papers, and I would be sat there thinking, I know what I want to say, but I can't remember the words, or I can't get the words out, or I'm super anxious today, or over nothing. So I sort of thought, God, this is really scary. I don't like this version of me. And it's kind of accepting that, and also having a safe space of saying it to somebody that I can't really think today, or I'm procrastinating, or, you know, and for someone else to say to you, another woman to say to you, I know how you feel. I feel like that. Or actually, I felt like that 6 months ago, and this is what I did. So it's great that, you know, we're talking about it more and it's out there.
Good.
And presumably the end goal is not just for a woman on the other side to be like, I get it, but for anyone who's on the other side to be like,
definitely.
I can understand. You do what you've got to do.
Yeah, exactly. And you would be surprised, there are a lot of women who don't want to talk about it, or who are very dismissive of it because they're not at that point yet, because they've not hit that milestone yet. So it's quite refreshing, you know, especially from the point of view of you being a coach, that, you know, you are considerably younger than me, but also very supportive about it.
And that's the main thing, I think, is just knowing how to support your clients through their different, like, you are all on such different journeys. Yeah, it's about adapting. And as a coach, I think it's important not just to be like, here's your work plan and food plan, you adapt to what I need you to do, but it's more like, how can I adapt to you? Because what you have going on is important, and it is just as like important as what I'm telling you to do. It has to work hand in hand. It's a partnership. It's a relationship, coach to client. Like, it's give and take. You have to put trust in me, like you put trust in a partner you're going to be with. And
You've never had a dismissive attitude either. It may have been a case of, I don't know enough about it. Talk to me about it. Tell me about it.
It's like
help
therapy.
me understand. You know. So you've never been dismissive, but I think unfortunately a lot of people in probably your industry are dismissive and very much like, this is what I want you to follow. Do as I say. I'm telling you.
And thing is, when you push something on a body, it's not going to respond, you know? Like, you can't, you know, if your scale isn't coming down, I put you down 1,200 calories thinking low food is going to help. Like, your body's just going to be like,
I'll be miserable.
Yeah, we don't like her.
I'm moving in with you.
But yeah, no, I do really appreciate you kind of talking about that. And I think hopefully that will resonate with a lot of women. That is all the time we have today. So I do hope you guys have enjoyed our first roundtable talk. If you would like us to do more, or you want to hear more topics discussed, whatever it may be, please feel free to drop comments, send us messages, emails, whatever it may be. But we hope you enjoyed. So thank you.